Good evening, it's the December 4th, 2019 Conservation Commission meeting. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I just wanted to say in the program, thank you to the Sutton DPW. That was they probably didn't see their wives or their kids for a couple days. That was a long storm. All right, first up is going to be 23 Tucker Lane. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, December 4th, 2019, at 6:30 p.m. The Sutton Town Hall, 4 Uxbridge Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review an amendment to the order of conditions submitted to the Conservation Commission by Cheryl Seymour, Sutton, Mass. The project consists of amending the order of conditions on map 49, parcels 191, 23 Tucker Lane, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Come on up. All right.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening. How are you? Let's see here.
So what I'd like to do is take down the existing camp and build another property in its footprint where we already have a approved septic design in place. My understanding is a non-conforming lot, I can increase the footprint up to 30%. I did submit plans to the building department, which are slightly less than that, to build a 2-story, 2-bedroom structure as a retirement home there.
Okay. So is it, so it's 30% bigger than the existing structure?
It's not quite, it's about 20%.
20%
It's gonna be
larger?
about 20%. It's gonna be, the footprint's gonna be 725 square feet.
Okay. And
It's currently
what's the
630.
what's the order open for now?
For a septic system.
Just for the septic, so you're
Yep,
adding
yep.
on the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so rather than put all the money into the septic and try to rehab what's there.
Yep.
The goal would be to put a solid foundation and go up. I've already met with Team Shovel to do the excavation there. We've walked this site and I've got estimates put in place. Fairly small camp. The foundation's gonna be 21 by 30.
Okay. Gotcha.
Are there additional fees that they had to pay?
I don't have that sheet.
I did
I
pay
just
some
have
fees when I
the,
submitted the order. I mean, the,
Have any plans?
I haven't received any materials on this,
You haven't received any materials?
No.
Okay.
not even hard copy.
All right. The only thing I have here is, did you submit plans to us?
So I brought in, yes, I brought in the original stamp plan showing the layout of the property. I don't know if this is helpful to you at all now. I also have a set of plans for the actual structure.
Okay, so you changed the size of this house on your own, is that what?
Yeah, so basically I had an engineer draw this up, but what we have here is this is the existing structure.
Okay.
And basically what I'm doing is I'm squaring it off here in the back.
Okay.
And I'm gonna leave open porches here.
It's such a big change. Can this be amended? Or should a new?
Yeah, I think
That's your call.
I think that's where what we gotta talk about.
I need a plan, I'm sorry, but it's really hard, I can't do it,
No,
the only
we
change?
need to have a plan go to our consultant and,
I mean, he's got it, yeah, there's a scale plan.
Thank you.
did you submit it to Brandon?
Yeah, that's what I was doing, I didn't wanna,
Understand,
November 13th?
It gets submitted through Wanda.
Okay,
okay.
so it was submitted on time?
Would the butters notices be going out for this too? It's such a
Yeah,
big
this-
change.
So no offense, just so I can, so there's an existing order of conditions
Yeah, for the septic only.
for the septic only.
Yeah.
And now you wanna come in, and you wanna completely
Yes,
do a
sir.
demolition of an existing home,
Yes.
and put in a new foundation, and you're gonna stay within the zoning bylaws by right and not be increasing more than 30%.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'd be the first one to wanna do it as a minor change, but there's a whole chance to update and fix everything with the lot, you said it yourself, right? So some of this now, this stormwater management for the rooftop, it's not expensive to do, but cause this is really close to the lake, I mean, no offense, I just don't wanna waste time, yours or ours.
Yeah.
I think you should talk to your engineer, just on one person. you can't do this as a minor change. I'd be the first one to want it. I'm not trying to make it difficult.
No, I
And it's not a lot more work to add the things that it would take to probably meet. I'll
The
let Brandon
easiest thing
finish,
to
but I
do-
just, because to have a discussion now is gonna be hard without,
having plans. No, I understand.
it's just a few more things, like you're almost there, like you're doing it all right. You understood the zoning and you're staying, and they like that on the zoning end, and this is a
Before-
mess, so it's great that we want you to know that I definitely am in favor of this, and I wanna see it all cleaned up, and I want this all to happen. I just think we have to do a little bit more homework
Frankie and
with
house
Brandon
on,
and feedback, and he'll help you through the process.
Frankie and house on Manchog Road.
They didn't do the foundation, first thing that came to my
Okay,
head.
all right,
It
that's,
was
I just
way
wanted to make
minimum.
sure,
Oh,
okay,
well, he
all right.
did one small little portion of the
Okay.
foundation and a pier,
But it's the same
Same idea, but
exact size too,
but he's
right?
doing a complete demolition, brand new foundation,
Right.
and he has the room.
Personally, I think it needs an
Because I did think
NOI.
of that before I said what I just said. I thought of Frankie's. I thought of what we've talked about in the past.
I
And
got
I-
some questions, so, just so I have it clear.
Yes.
You putting the house back on the same footprint, just like looks like you're just squaring it out, more of a.
Correct.
That's it, so it's not getting any further away from the lake?
It's not. I would be glad to move it back. I just didn't want to reinvent the wheel where the septic design had already been done and in place, and the septic tanks placements where they are, to kind of start the wheel turning all over again. I thought this would be the path of least resistance to do it properly. And my thoughts were about drainage off the roof, things like that. I stayed within the same footprint of the existing roof that's there now for runoff. And I'd be,
What could be done is a stone drip edge, if you don't wanna do gutters.
mhm.
That's the easiest thing to do, is just dig a 6-inch trench, put in some pea stone or
Yep.
3/4-inch stone, and right, as the water falls off, it just goes right into the trench.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're looking at, dry wells at the end of the gutters, or one of those Caltech units underground, that can be a lot more complicated.
Mhm.
But when you're doing a demo rebuild like that, it has been policy, like Mike's been talking about, to then do the things that the Conservation Commission has been trying to see everybody do, which is handle stormwater runoff, including roof runoff,
Okay.
from new structures. And this would technically be a new structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the last one to wanna spend your money, but I think you're gonna have to, what I'd like to see is close out this notice of intent, or this order of conditions for the, septic, and file a new notice of intent for the house.
Okay, perfect.
And that way, it's all laid out, we get steps on the plan, we know exactly what's gonna happen, exactly where the house is gonna go,
Okay.
all right?
Very good.
And
And
if that's the case, like you were just talking about, there's a impact avoidance and minimization statement that you're gonna have to fill out. And part of it is
Isn't really.
where you have to make an attempt to try and keep any new work, including structures, as far away from wetland resource area as you can.
okay.
It has to be necessary to place it where it is. So if there's any way to pull it a little bit off the lake,
I would have no problem with pulling it back. I would rather prefer that, to be honest with you, just so we are a little bit further back, with it being a non-conforming lot. That's why, that was my strategy going into it, to kind of fall where it is.
Yeah, I think you're in a position now where you could reposition the house
Yeah,
a
if I
little
could
bit. and-
reposition it, pull it back a little bit, it would be better for everyone.
excellent.
All right, so next, I'll just check with Wander
Mhm.
after the meeting, or?
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk to an engineer about,
What's left?
so.
I've already been in touch with Margaret Bacon in
Oh,
regards to
okay.
the project as
Margaret's
well.
great.
Yeah,
So what you're gonna wanna do is, I would think they're gonna wanna file the new NOI
Still that much?
separately. Can you have two orders of conditions going at the same time on the
You
same piece of
can, yes,
property?
yes, you can.
So you can file that new NOI before you close out the septic one.
okay.
And that way, if the septic does need to be tweaked, it's open and you can come before us
If
and
we
it's not
gotta
closed
adjust the
out.
tank or something like that. I
That
think-
would be a minor field change, I would have no problem with that.
And I think that'll be the only change we may have on the septic.
Yeah.
So the leach field's plenty far enough away from where we're trying to do things.
Perfect.
Are you increasing the number of bedrooms?
Well, the existing camp, I don't even know if it has a bedroom in it, but I do have a design for a 2-bedroom septic, and that's what I plan
Okay,
on
that's
putting
what I
in.
was asking about, cause,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
biggest thing is just to have that final plans to us 1 week before so everyone can review them, but I mean,
so you would wanna see a full set of construction plans as well, correct? Okay, very good, I'll take care of that.
And send them to Brandon with, electronically.
Yeah, so that way you can set it in a PDF.
One more thing, sir, Mike
Yes.
McGovern wants to.
So they talked about pushing it back, remember you get your 50-foot setback,
Right.
and that,
This is actually, this lot next to it is also part of the land too. I don't know
yeah.
if it's subdivided.
I know this piece, I actually looked
Oh,
at
do
it
you?
before, so
Okay.
it's nice, like I said.
Yeah.
It's got the newer garage, you're gonna do the septic, it's so much better for the pond. You'll be better off with this pushback, right? I mean, if you're gonna make this kind of an investment,
I have no problem. I'll
well,
bring it
no,
back
it's,
right
I
to the
think some of
middle
it's
lot.
the best
Yeah.
for you too,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that's really close. I know it's a pond, but it was, you know, it would give you a little more land.
I'd love to have some room in front of it and not run into any water issues moving forward, so.
Like I said, we're not trying to spend your money, we just wanna do it right.
No, yeah, and I wanna do it
Yeah,
right
you
too.
couldn't get it back far enough and get rid of the pump, but I don't think you'll be able to do that.
Well,
Hey,
we
it's
could-
time.
if we get rid of the pump, we will lose, we'll have to redo the septic design, right? Or no?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
All right, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
don't wanna spend too much money.
Yeah, no, no.
So, what are you gonna close this?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, well, no, cause it's still open, this is still the order
Do you
conditions,
wanna
continue it.
to what, the next meeting?
Well, then he's got another NOI, so we just,
Yeah, he's gotta file another NOI.
This is gonna be,
Okay.
just gonna continue it
Well, that's the
to a
decision of
close.
the commission then it closes out this amendment request.
make the motion to close
Yeah.
out.
Hold on, because we've ran into this before. Isn't it easier, and you can do it all in one meeting, is if he refiles, when he comes, you close out the old one and then just have one in.
Well, he doesn't need to close this out, cause they're still gonna act on this one as a septic.
Right.
Oh,
Hear me out.
okay, so you leave
What
it
we've
to
done in the past,
continue it?
we've had similar things.
you're right, I think Mike has a point here, yeah.
So, he's gonna file again, and when he comes in front of us, we will close out the one that's open now, do a certificate of compliance, I guess you could say, and then
Yeah, saying the work was
issue
never started.
one on, so then it's just one clear,
Oh,
just, that's what
septic
we've
on.
done in the past.
Oh, that's
all
not a
I'm
bad
saying.
idea.
So everything is on one.
Yeah, talk to your engineer about that, yeah.
It's no more work for you. I think it might be a few more we could probably waive our fees on our side, so it's just carried over to the new filing if we
Yeah,
could.
and
I know we're doing our part, what we could.
Wanda was also just
There's-
showing me what's left in the
yeah,
consult fee.
Yeah.
The fees that need the ad fee, the NOI fee, and the small bylaw fee.
Would have to be repaid
Bylaw
again?
fees, Yeah.
Okay. There's enough left over in the console fee?
There's
Yeah.
enough left over in the consult fee that I would not need a new consult fee.
That's good.
So that's good.
All right,
So
thank you, folks.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
Have a great night.
Just wanted to
But
be-
does the
Yeah.
amended order of conditions need to be closed out? Cause they're not gonna amend it now.
Make a motion to not amend the order of conditions for 23 Tucker Lane,
But to require,
but to require a new NOI if he so chooses to build a new home.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're gonna have to repeat that. To not close,
to not.
Have a good night.
To require a new NOI
Moving right along.
if he chooses to build a new house.
Yeah. Yeah, give it, we'll put it right on this whole thing like this. and then It'll stay.
Okay, so
They'll stay
David
happy.
did that. So who did the second?
Mike did.
So you still need to close the public hearing for that, though.
You'd have to, would,
I wouldn't until
For
he
the
comes
amendment.
back, because we don't know what he's gonna
Yeah,
do.
'cause
What
I-
if he changes his mind again?
Well,
I-
we're closing out the amendment, so we
Yeah,
have to
you gotta
close
close
that
the
public
hearing.
hearing.
All right, yeah.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, good.
Legal schmeagle.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Wanda. Yeah.
Wanda, when you have a minute.
And actually, Zach, while we're handing things down, why don't you give these to Wanda too?
This is the second one. Public plans here.
Did these plans just come in?
Yes. Yes.
Did you have time to review them?
No.
What was it? Was this a big project or is this something silly?
No, it's a
This is a
big one.
continuance from, an existing project, 26 Knowledge Way.
So this is quite a bit of work, right?
And they have to go to get a variance tomorrow, is it?
Yes. I'm looking to see if we could just have kind of a discussion on what we kind of ended up with a few weeks ago, a month ago.
Yeah, but our consultant hasn't had a chance to review it, so our professional input isn't there. I mean, you could ask him a generalized question, but we can talk about it, but I don't know if you're gonna get what you want.
Yeah, I'd rather not having to reviewed it.
Rather not.
Well, we have a policy that it's a
I know,
1
I
week.
saw the policy today,
and-
at the end of
Gotcha.
other things, so.
You're not trying to waste your time, but I mean, he's kinda like, we look to him for, he's the black and white and we're the gray. That's our job, we issue variances. He's the one that nobody likes, you know?
I like that, black and white and you're the gray. I like
Right.
that.
I don't know if we're really well liked
There were a
either.
few things that I added to it. You asked me for my resume last time I was here. I added that to it.
Okay.
I added the A&M, statement to
Mhm.
it. I added a few things onto the plan that Brandon had asked me to put on the plan, but since he hasn't reviewed it,
Right, can't really go over
can't
it.
really go over it.
Who do you have a variance with tomorrow?
ZBA,
ZBA,
ZBA's tomorrow?
yes.
Okay.
for what?
Is it a setback?
Yeah, this,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
setback variance.
Technically, we shouldn't approve it until you have your variance.
No.
Yeah,
so-
so, no, I know that.
No offense,
I know
I'm just
that.
saying, I
No,
mean.
No, I was just wanted to discuss the
Yeah.
things that were changing on the plan.
So I guess we should
Yeah, we
I
just.
guess
gotta-
she could
can't-
show us on the plan and then why we're reviewing it till the next meeting.
Yeah.
It would be helpful to me to know, I don't think it's a bad idea to just
Yeah,
review it.
why don't you show us the change, good idea.
Okay.
Show us the changes, but
We're
we're not
not,
really
she's
gonna.
not asking us to close the public hearing, she's now
Yeah.
asking us to
Yeah.
vote on it. So that's a different,
Yeah, I
as
get
long as we're all on that same page.
No, it's not a big
We
deal.
can, she has a little time before the next one, we might as well make good use of it.
So the last time I was here, there were a few questions and comments. I was asked to locate the tree line that was existing on the property, which I have. I've actually shown the larger trees on here, they are in green. So I wanted to show you that. And there is a tree line that is in black, that was the tree line as of a couple of years ago when they installed the new septic system. So there are a few green trees labeled along the side of the property. And then there's a black line on there that shows where the existing tree line was, according to the septic design that was done a few years ago. Those are all the trees that are over 5 inches. We were looking to plant more trees. They are in the blue, in that kind of a turquoise blue color. We've moved the stockpile area outside of the 100-foot buffer as far as we could. We added the 100% 12-inch biodegradable straw wattles to the plan. We've doubled them along the proposed well area. There is one change to this plan, though, that was not noted by Brandon earlier, is that we have actually extended the deck another 5 inches. So instead of 4.5 feet, it is now 5 feet. The homeowner would prefer it to be 5. He's keeping the well, it is a shallow well. He's gonna use it for irrigation. And I was asked to put stormwater drainage on here. The water table out on this lot is very high, especially as you get closer to the water. We're talking like it's really high, like 2 feet. So the only thing that we could probably come up with was stone on the drip edge of the garage. And I've got it in 2 places. For the front, I've got it running down the side, and for the back, because the ridge line is running on the long side, I've got it running on the back. And it's a 2 by 1 foot stone trench, 2 wide, 1 deep. I just kinda wanted to go over those things that I've added to the plan.
There's other stuff down here from, I remember from before, like a place where the boat goes in and a walkway, and there was supposed to be plantings along the walkway, and,
front, it's right here.
no, that goes down this way.
You did ask me to put that platform on, and that is the existing well that's out there. There's a platform
Yeah, I know,
there.
but there's a walkway,
I did not see a walkway.
I swear. That was on one of the previous filings, and there's a place where the boats come in over here.
That's not this? No?
No,
That's a,
no.
oh,
But
he's got a,
all of that stuff is not on this plan, but that, I remember that from previous plans. And if I remember
didn't
right,
see
there was supposed to
anything
be
out there.
plantings along the walkway. I don't know.
So continue out for another would
Yeah.
2 weeks be good?
When do you wanna continue to?
the next meeting?
Oh, Brandon, before we continue?
Can we continue the next meeting, Brandon?
We can, but it's something you should probably talk about right now, instead of letting
Like
it
you said, if it's
go
on
another
policy,
2 weeks and then potentially having to deal with it again in January.
Okay.
One of the things that Mike brought up last time is the 25-foot rule with new structures to the lake. And last time, the front deck, or walkway, whatever you wanna call it, is 20.5. And there was a request that, as written in my report, and in my recollection, was that the commission didn't want to prohibit a deck or walkway around the house, but maybe not in front of the house, closer to the water. To try to keep that 25 foot, being consistent, among different applications. And now it's 19.7 feet. So, do you have any opinions on that right off the bat?
So I do want to point out that on the bottom of the plan, it shows where that deck is in the front. I've added a new type of post that we're proposing to put into the ground. They're called techno posts, and they're metal. And they're very environmentally friendly as far as they don't require heavy machinery. They're actually put in with these small little machines. They're metal posts. They go in, sorry.
Those, right?
Yep, that's what they look like. And they kinda go in with a small machine, so they're not gonna be, put in with a big backhoe or anything like that. They're a nice little post that's going in. And I also have some pictures of actually what's there now, and I kinda wanted to show you that.
My exact wording in the report, based on the conversation from last time. Where did I just put it? Is the decker is closer than 25 feet to the bank of Lake Singletary. The commission does not normally allow construction within 25 feet of a wetland resource area. The commission does not want to completely prohibit a deck, but the portion of the deck next to the water is a little too close. And that was a synopsis of what was said at the last meeting.
So this is what's in the front of the house right now. He has this, like, a pea stone area here, and that's actually, a garden, like a vegetable garden type of thing. And the post would be going in, like, right where the pea stone is right now, which would stay anyways.
I
And again-
personally like to continue this for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I think we're very clear not to the plans, and now I feel like we're kind of being pushed into make a decision.
Oh, I don't
And,
mind continuing it. I just kinda wanted to
That's just
go.
my opinion. I'd rather not, our consultant didn't see the plans, we didn't see the plans. I'll let, it's through the chair.
Well,
but-
we're not gonna vote on it tonight anyway,
Well,
till after
no.
we get
No,
the.
but
No.
we could have a more educated discussion on this deck if we all had some more time, I think.
Yeah, I think it's what I'm getting at, you
Right.
know?
What's the next date, Wanda?
18.
It's December 18th
Well,
at
through the
6:50.
chair, so tonight is so that when she comes back, the plan's something we can approve. So if we give her no feedback on this front deck, how could she come back with a plan that we'll feel comfortable to approve? Just saying. I know we didn't have time to review it, but this plan's been in front of us. We went through it. We had a discussion of the things that I think we all had concerns. She made it bigger, not smaller. So, we guess we're okay with, so if we send her away, we're saying that's okay, so when she
I'm
comes
not
back.
okay, I'm not okay with the bigger.
Well, I
deck.
wasn't either, so, tonight's I just want you to be able to get through the next
Mm-hmm.
meeting. So, I think we should discuss the deck, cause I think that if you have a discussion, we ask, and you come back with more, I just wonder how that worked. And I want you to be able to get this passed at the next meeting, so.
We can spend like 5 minutes on it, all right? I don't wanna-
Yeah,
wanna make it a
I
big-
just,
Yep, I don't
So-
think it
I
needs
just
to be
don't
more
think
than
it's
that,
fair to
so.
other people that.
So, my view on it is a deck is pervious. It's going over a pervious area, and there's no ground disturbance. They're using the screw-in posts. I personally don't see it having a negative effect on anything. That's my personal opinion.
My opinion is that we don't want it any closer, and they put it closer, it should be the 25 feet, because how can you do it for one and not the other?
Not to create a problem, but why don't you want it closer? What is,
Because if we're gonna have a no 25-foot no touch, it's a slippery slope when you start letting people do things. And so, if you make a determination that you're gonna hold the line there, we should hold the line.
So, I think we should look at every case. I don't like to have a hard set rule that it's 25 feet, but I do like the idea of somewhere where we're all feeling comfortable to be consistent. Now, I would be okay with being in the 25 feet, and we had a case recently in some existing property that he was already kind of there and he wanted to take it down and do some rebuilding. But I think what I would like to see is when you come back, more of an argument of why you need to be in that 25 feet than just you want it, or he decided he wanted 5 feet. I think I would allow it if there was no other choices, but this is a big lot. You've got a big expansion going on, and I don't think you could give a good enough argument to let me be okay with that. But I'm not saying no. But you have to come back with a reason why. It's a necessity for the house, it's a design, it can't just be I want it and it looks good on the front of the house. Give me some good reasons why you wanna be in that 25 feet and I would be open for discussion. But if you don't, and you just want it, that would be hard, because we've said no to other people to do it. So if we're gonna have like a guideline that we all follow, I don't want it to be etched in stone, it's always no, but we gotta come back with a good case.
Okay.
And you would get my
With that
attention to
note, we
talk
had the
about it. Is
one
that
on-
fair enough to say?
That's fair enough.
Who was the one that was approved for small house on,
Right there.
On Stevens?
no, not on the, well, Stevens had one, but.
Mr. Kuchar was the one we put a small addition to the front, and that's the one that I remember.
I'm
the
talking
variance.
about the one right off, was it Wheelock? Where the guy wanted to get approved for, across from Tuesday Young, wanted to get approved for a small house and we kept him 25 feet out.
Yes.
And he had
Yeah.
a case where he had no more room, and the Sutton police station had to stay 25 feet out.
Yep.
This is what I'm saying, so like
And
there's
in
been
this
tiny
case,
little camps with
it
narrow
seems like
lots,
every time someone looks at it, more work's been done that hasn't been
bigger and big,
approved.
like I said.
So
come
I-
back.
And there's already 2 houses on one lot.
They
Yeah.
were pre-existing though.
I know, but
I think
they,
if your client looks at the house, they'll find a way to stay out of the 25 feet, cause you have a lot of room. That's my point, that's what I'm trying to say.
On Mr. Kuchar's, there was an allowance to allow the structure 22.5 feet away from the edge of the water, / bank, with the caveat that it had to be cantilevered, like no actual footing in the
Yeah.
25 foot. So that,
The house was also like 600 square feet too, I believe.
correct, it was really small,
And he
so.
was hitting the setbacks on
He
both
doesn't have
sides,
it
and
on
the,
piers like it says on the plan?
Yes, it appears, but the piers are set back, I believe.
Right, he's got like an overhang.
so just so she understands, so I like the geotax, I know it has less of an impact, but it's not so much about digging and putting a foundation and clean, cause we know that you would, hey, it's the idea of the presence of a structure in the 25 feet. It's not that there's gonna be construction, it's not whether we dig a hole or we put a sonotube, it's that now there's a building that close to the lake, it's impact on the water itself. That's, just so we understand what it's really trying to accomplish, it's not the methods of construction, it's the what's left after you're done building, is the way I look at it anyways. I mean, we're each all to our own opinion. So I know you're trying to mitigate if we let you do it, but for me, that, it doesn't matter, it's the structure itself, it's not how you're gonna do it. Like I said, if there's a necessity for it, it's a narrow lot, side setbacks, there's reasons why you're gonna need to be in the 25 feet, I'm okay with those things. Cause I never wanna be narrow-minded on small lots, on existing conditions, to not let people improve their property, but if there's room, and they can accomplish some similar things. If it's more deck space, maybe on the right side, he could make the deck a little bigger. I know he's still in our jurisdiction, but it's proven to us that, hey, I respected that 25 feet and we give a little bit more somewhere else. So it's, like I said, just look at your plan, in my eyes. If there's a good reason for it, I would entertain the idea for discussion. If he moves it and he's doing something a little bigger somewhere else and he shows a good effort that he wanted to stay out of it, that makes it easier to say, I'm okay with that. Good, you tried to meet some of these things and you had bigger land, and I'm done.
Zach, you have anything else?
Just that I'm also in favor of keeping it outside of the 25 feet.
Okay. What's the date and time on it to continue to?
It is, December 18th at 6:50.
Make a motion to continue December 18th at 6:50.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Make sure I get some more. 650. 650.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed on 23 Tucker Lane, you closed the public hearing and gave him his order of conditions on December 5th, 2018, so a year ago today.
Wow. Who'da thunk?
Who would've thunk?
That's already been a year.
23 Tucker.
Next up is 11 Sunrise.
Make a motion to waive the reading of 11 Sunrise Drive.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mrs. Joe.
Anyone here? Somebody here? Oh, come on up. It looks like, from my notes, we had everything except a DEP number on this.
Correct, yeah,
Which you
that's,
have now.
And what is the DEP number?
0918.
0918.
Came in the next morning, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
303-0918.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Oh, anybody from the audience first on that? Oh, okay. Need a second on that?
Second.
Make a motion to
All those
issue.
in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 11 Sunrise Drive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Your name, sir?
Brian Hassett.
Were you here the first time?
No, Bruce Williams was here the first time.
Thank you.
He
Do
submitted
we have a
it.
stamp plan that we can sign for this file?
Good call.
Before we have to do it again next meeting.
Seen
Do you
the
have a
last
stamped one?
Yours is marked up.
Yeah, this one's marked up, isn't it?
I thought we had one from last week, and all it was
I
was
think
the
we did
deed.
too, yeah.
There's only been one plan, this was a one and done plan, which is rare.
Yeah, if they had had the DEP number, we would have been done.
Right?
For a plan that only has the original.
Well,
Want to use that, or?
Yeah.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I have, yeah, hang on.
Oh, you got one? Is it stamped?
Yes.
Dated?
Yep.
Wanda, can you stamp it in?
You guys can sign it.
We'll sign
Make
it.
sure it's the correct one, 11/6/19 is the,
Yeah, that was the first time in it.
Yep,
yep,
that's
okay.
it.
Okay.
I guess I should give this,
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you.
You good?
and the order is not ready yet, right?
Oh, no,
No.
Okay,
probably 21 days.
okay.
That was easy.
Signature on that. Next up on the agenda, it's actually on here twice, is 125 Singletary Ave. Who's here for 125 Singletary Ave? You are. Okay,
That's why it's on there twice.
okay. So, they were going for a certificate of compliance on this project, correct?
There's the whole file.
And who are these people?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
The driveway to the new house is not complete.
This is the one where the driveway going through the,
buffer zone, who we speaking?
I'm sorry, your name and address, I'm sorry.
I'm Richard Mainville.
Yep,
Our firm is in Uxbridge.
okay,
I live in Upton.
okay.
Been wanting to meet you for a long time.
They have?
I have. I see your stamp on the plans all the time, but we always, we'd see Paul, we'd see Travis, we'd see John or all those other guys, but never you.
Well, I've been around for a few years.
Yeah? Well, good.
So this is the issue with, Brandon, could you pull up the pictures
Yep,
of,
yes, sir. Give me a second here to combobulate myself. This is 1946.
so I think as you know, this, well, you may or may not know, this was not filed correctly.
Yeah, I heard.
And they
that
came in
they-
with a as-built for a plan for, it was really, it lost me a couple of times. We have, this is still in the buffer zone all the way to that corner up there,
Yes, it is.
and it's supposed to be paved.
With stormwater structures along the outside edge.
Yeah, that was probably gonna be done when he did the next house out in the back, which he hasn't, at least when I was there, he hadn't started the house in the back yet.
I know, but the problem is that that part goes along with this property.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I've been trying to find out what is the plan that was submitted with the original notice of intent.
So I guess this is what I'm getting at.
Didn't this start with the building permit asking to sign off on the back lot so you could get started with construction? That started the questions
That
of
started the
what
question
about
of,
the road?
right,
Sorry, I didn't
right.
mean to.
No, that's okay.
But,
Yep,
so the questions are, if he wants us to sign up for the building permit, what about this road? And you got an open order of conditions on this property that includes the road. Doesn't he wanna finish that before he closes it out? That's kind of what, and then Brandon was gonna do a site visit just to see where the lot was at.
right.
Which I did.
Right, no, I know, so, I think,
The problem I have with this personally is that we have a letter here that says that it's completed in substantial compliance, and we have a major construction undertaking that's not finished. So I don't know, I mean, if it was base coat and it just needed to be top coated, I get that, that's substantial compliance, but you're gonna need equipment in here and dig this all back up, and we have a letter here that says it's done.
Well, what
That's,
I was
Right,
probably told the wrong information when I was looking at this thing. The person who did all the work on this is no longer with our firm,
I gotcha.
so I kind of walked into something way at the end.
I'm gonna try to word this correctly. Everything that's stamped that comes across my 2.5 feet of space here as chair, I wanna believe. And when we stamp something that's not completed, that's like a shot in the ribs to me. I'm not an engineer, I don't know anything, I'm a board member, you know what I mean? But when something comes in and says that the project is done and it's not done, that really strikes a nerve with me. And I understand, Andrews, there's been people leaving, and I get it, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming it all on you, but in Sutton, in the future, if you could, just make sure that you physically, if you're gonna sign something, put your eyeballs on it and make sure it's done, because we need to believe these things, you know?
Because I was given the impression that what the original notice of intent was just for doing some renovations to the house and putting in the septic system.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty
And-
much true.
And that's what I was looking for, was to make sure that he had finished the house and that the area around the house was done.
But it's right on the plan, it says it was to be finished with,
I understand
with
what
asphalt.
it's a miscommunication in our office as to how this project was supposed to be completed, which I was unaware of.
Okay,
I think there were a lot of miscommunications on this one.
there was. So I think moving forward, in my eyes, we have to take this letter back, because this letter is not good.
All right,
okay?
that's no problem.
And we can't close out that order of conditions until this work is done and it's settled and there's grass growing. And there's no chance that there's, we're gonna have any impact on the wetland.
I think there was discussion the last time about proper erosion controls and so forth along putting the extension of that driveway to the back lot.
Because when I went out to that site, I noticed that all those trees right at the beginning of it. And I didn't particularly like that, but he was looking for that particular house, and I could see that there was another driveway that was gonna go in, so he still had more work to do right where all those trees were. So I was looking at it, that he was trying to get a release for just one existing house that's there.
As in a
And the
partial,
rest of the
such a,
stuff was gonna be in the back.
as in a partial. See, yeah, I understand
Did
what
we
you're saying.
file both houses on the same notice of intent?
No,
No.
there's separate lots, so it's, he did this one
I think
first.
you adopted a mess.
So through the chair.
Yeah, you did.
He's trying to get a building permit right now on the other lot, and he's trying to get us to sign off saying there's no wetlands. Let's say this all correctly. This all started with the building department sending us a sign off on the back lot, and it started the discussion of, well, how is he getting to it? At first, you just said he was gonna, we could close this out, but before he can get a building permit, if you wanna tie in, then he needs to file with the plan of how he's getting to the house lot. You could do it that way too, cause then that roadway could be more under scrutiny of how he builds it, and I don't know how much engineering's done.
It's on its separate lot.
Yeah, it's on the separate lot, you can't do that.
No.
Excuse
That
me,
driveway's
it
on
goes
this
through-
lot.
It goes through an easement on that lot till it gets to the rear property line. So that driveway that's behind that, above that house where it's shown, is on that lot. The other lot doesn't start till you're way back.
Okay, but hold on one second. Just so I don't understand. So if we close this out under 125 and the one behind it's 135, he can refile and do work on 125?
No, I just putting this all together too.
Yeah.
Right, so this has changed owners, right? So this lot is, so they would have to open an order of condition to build the road if it's not done.
That's true, if the road, good point,
Yeah,
good
no,
point.
it's
Right.
Good point,
pretty
if they close it
complex.
out and they continue to work on that road, it's not in compliance.
And technically,
Yeah.
he shouldn't be driving up and
Alright.
down that road without the road being, like, that's what I'm saying. He can't build the back house lot without finishing this road. And if it's all done and filed, he should finish the road and then come back, I guess is what we're saying, right?
Right.
And what we asked of him from the last meeting was to just, because this didn't start it right. Call for your pre-construction meeting, meet with our consultant, do your erosion control.
Right, but the project was already complete when the order was
Made.
issued.
Right, but now we
He's
have
been
a
working on
roadway.
it all along.
We have a roadway that needs to be built. It's not done, I can see from the picture that you just gave us from your site
And
visit.
it's not a huge project either. We're not,
So all that we were saying was to be consistent
Yep.
and make sure the project gets done correctly, is just a pre-construction meeting like that never happened. Brandon will meet with the plans and Gianni. Hay bills are usually in place that you said, you just send us a letter saying that they're installed in accordance to the plan. These are just the rules that everybody follows. That's what I was getting at the last time. Just stick to the simple little policies we have in place. Start this job right to finish what has to be done. Then we could sign off on the back lot. Once we know this is all set,
and
then he can build his house. He's got, because I think one of the other questions we had was, is the back lot, we had discussion of a wetland maybe in the back, and without going on his property, I don't know if you, when
Can't
you
go
did
on
your
the
site.
property without an application.
But on your site visit on this lot, did you notice anything from this lot that would lead us to think there was wetlands behind that other lot?
In the other lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are wetlands on the other lot.
And we had,
So
the
some of that
telephers came
meeting
in.
going to the site was just to survey the area, see what was going on.
Yeah, they
We've
showed-
had a lot of trouble there. I'm just trying to stick to the facts.
There was an overall plan?
The telefers, when this first came up, the telefers, an elderly couple were in here a couple of times. And they were questioning about the wetlands in back of their house.
Yeah.
And I honestly think if this wasn't, we kind of have our eyeballs on it because it was a problem from the get-go, and it may have slipped through if it was a different project. I don't think we would have caught this.
So, let me just, if I could, because I think they're almost there, and I don't think it's that confusing now that we talked it all out.
We have it.
He's got everything in place to finish the road. He's got a file, he's got a whole thing.
Right.
Just all that we asked was a pre-construction meeting, get your erosion, because it's not, you can see from the picture, it's not right.
The problem is, it shows
Make
the
sure the site's
wetlands,
stable, that's easy, that's not, that's
they
just
haven't been
normal.
verified.
And
Actually, we
then-
kinda had a pre-construction
So-
meeting, cause
Did-
I was there with Brandon.
Did his engineer sign, so if he's saying there's been changes, has they been out to verify the other lot? Cause didn't we get a letter from an engineer on the other one saying there was no wetlands within the?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
No,
In
it
fact,
just came from building.
there's a sheet two to this,
So then if we
this order.
suspect, I think that in the past, what we've done, if we ask for sign off and we question it, we can ask him to get a letter from an engineer or a wetland scientist saying there's none on the property, and then he builds his house, right? So,
Well, there are wetlands there.
Right, so Mike, there was a sheet two to this order that shows the overall with 135, which is, if you can see the cursor, it's this lot right here.
Yep.
They show a general wetland boundary over here, and there's a wetland over here too that kinda goes this way. But I haven't gotten onto this property to verify anything as being, valid, because it's a separate property, not part of this application, therefore it's still private property that I'm not allowed to go on. So I haven't been able to verify it.
so my question is, he's saying there isn't, cause that's what we got, this thing from the building department saying that it, like, sign off on it. So we're disagreeing with that. And then what do we do? Just cause, so we tell him he's gotta file?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to file, he's gonna
We-
have to get a letter from an engineer that says
Yeah,
that there's no
right.
wetlands, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, basically, we're saying we don't agree. We think
Right.
there's wetlands.
But that's
So-
not what Mr. Manville's here for. He's
Well,
not
he's-
representing that lot, are you?
No, we haven't done anything on that lot.
So
yet.
you're just representing 125. So 125 needs to be, that stormwater structure needs to be done, and it needs to be paved,
And the signs put up.
and the signs put up prior to closing out the order of conditions.
Or, we as a commission could agree that that work's not done. He comments about it, I'm not saying we're gonna agree. And then when he wants, if we see any,
Oh, if he wants to, you
Then
can
he'd
close
have
it
to-
out, but it wouldn't be in substantial conformance. You wouldn't be able to get a certificate of compliance for that, though.
okay. So
Yeah,
then
because it's not,
he has to complete that road
yeah.
before we can close it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd have to kinda say, I decided not to do it.
The one thing they could do is just keep it gravel to make it simpler for now and come in for a minor field change, I presume, if that's what you agree for.
But then they'd have to refile under the other owner of a different property to pave it.
If that was, what they wanted to do after that.
I would probably just leave it alone and wait until the project's done if I were them, but.
Is there an agreement, I understand the house was sold, is there an agreement with the new owner to allow that road to be built? Or who's gonna build it, the new owner or the people with the back lot? I mean, that is something that kinda needs to be figured out too.
Normally, it's whoever is building on that back lot would have to build that driveway, and it should be within the easement. When I looked at the as-built plan that we have of where they built the driveway, they left a spur that goes to that back lot in the wrong place, it's not within the easement.
It really wasn't an as-built plan because they brought it in before there was even an order of conditions, but it was labeled as-built.
Yeah.
Through the
I have
chair.
a plan that was done.
Well, it specifically labeled
It's a super
sewage
plan now.
disposal system as-built.
Didn't make sense
So the as-built,
Was for
the
the
way I
septic.
read it, is for the septic only.
See, the way that, if you look at the red line on there, you
Yeah.
can see where the driveway is in the wrong place. The little spur that's left off the pavement,
Okay.
it's not within the easement, the easement is, let's see.
Is that the?
The easement, it should have been put here, but the spur is over here.
Is that in our
So
jurisdiction
The
or
easement
no?
comes this way.
Yeah, that's all in our jurisdiction. Is that the September 4 plan?
The whole thing is.
So just check
basically,
him in,
because
like,
it's
I
in-
would
yeah,
work on.
because
Yeah,
it's-
I have the same one right here.
It shows where they paved the driveway, and the way they left the spur off is not within the easement to go to that back house. So he's gotta redo that easement or move the driveway.
Okay, through the
Oh,
chair.
boy.
I think I haven't, hold on. It's your job as the engineer. So some of what this started out was and it gets more evident that somebody said it was like the engineer, so if he wants to close out the order of conditions, you have to come back to us with the correct paperwork of what didn't get done, what needs to be, you need to reflect I guess you'd have to do an as-built plan. I know we don't require it on them all the time, but if he wants to not be substantially completed and leave out a lot of work, come back with a new plan that shows what's done on the property now, what didn't get done on the plan that's filed, so we can have an educated discussion whether we want to release it or not. We may choose to. And then if they do any work to develop the back lot, we've already decided that he needs to file on the back lot, and they'll have to refile on this. Let him worry about how he does it all. Right? I mean, technically, if he wants to close this out right now, all that we're saying is we can't agree that it's substantially completed. So
So you
now that
can't-
we've talked it out, come back to us with a plan of what's done, what didn't get done, and then we can make a decision on what to do. Or he may decide to give Brandon a call, do a pre-construction meeting, put up all his erosion control, finish the plan the way it got approved, and then come to us saying it's substantially completed.
Yeah.
We'll do a site visit and we'll close this out, and then he can just file for the back lot, and at least the roadway on this property's done. Does that make sense to everybody?
It makes sense to you, you're the most guy.
And like,
It was a confusing one, it was.
and like I said,
It was.
I beg of you, please, before you send in a substantial compliance letter to this commission, please triple check it.
Yeah, I just was under the impression I was doing the right thing in this particular case. It turned out I was not given all the information I should have had as to how the site was going
Gotcha.
and what was going on. I was just out there to look at that house.
Mhm.
With the house and around the house, but that one particular house.
So you
I
didn't
have
see
no
the
idea
plan?
the lot in the back of it.
Oh.
Okay. That's it. That's all we got on this one. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your
Thanks
time.
for coming
Thank you.
in.
Quite all right.
Wanda. All right, next up is 55 Century Farm Road. Brenda Richards. Hi. How are you? Excellent. Sorry. Oh, don't be nervous. There's nothing. Would you like some candy? Nothing to be nervous. Yeah, nothing to be nervous
If you're
about.
comfortable with sitting down, sit down.
Yeah.
Goes from one side all the way to the other.
Yeah.
Excuse
Let
me?
me- Yes, sir.
You wanted to give me back that letter that I sent you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I gave you all.
Right.
What was that, the 25th? Is that the one?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Let me see here. What is this?
That person's no longer with the company.
No.
This is Marty,
Okay.
had the complaint, and I went down and I took the pictures, and cutting had been done in the wetlands without any permission.
Okay, so it's on Century Farm Road. I think we have some, do you have pictures of it, Brandon, you could pull up?
I do.
Okay.
Just give me, I gotta combobulate myself here. All right, Sutton.
Is it Mrs. Richards?
Yes.
Miss Richards, what happened?
Well, I had a lot of trees that were dead and hanging over the wires. I had a very long driveway.
Mhm.
Last winter, one fell, it just missed the wires and blocked me in. I
Mhm.
was in the house for 2 days. I had to get somebody to cut the tree. So, I mean, I paid $3,100 for Matt Virgilio to come over and do the work to get these trees away from the wires. That was my only intent.
Mhm.
Wetlands
So I think it's an honest mistake,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there any permanent damage done to the wetland that you noticed, Joyce? Anything that needs to be
Well,
fixed, or?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I took the pictures from the road, so those are the pictures. Marty came in and filed the complaint with Wanda, because the stuff was onto his property and on the stone wall.
Okay.
So
Did-
work was done, so I would, at least she would have to do an RDA.
Did you fix the stuff that's on Mr. Linda's property?
I had Matt Virgilio come back and I said anything that
Okay.
fell over his wall,
Clean it up.
pull it
Clean
back.
it up, okay.
Yeah, but it was still in the wetlands, so.
Yeah, but I mean,
And then everything that was taken down was dead?
It was a mess.
Okay,
My yard's still a mess.
okay, gotcha. What do you think, Brandon?
That was my only intent.
I know that
Don't wanna get trapped in
Marty's
your house.
complaint
No,
is
we
that
get
the
it.
trees were falling over his wall, potentially damaging his wall and going onto his land. So that's been cleaned up, like the stuff that went over on his side has been pulled back.
I didn't go back there, but
Right.
Matt Virgilio did come back, and I asked him anything that fell over that wall
Yeah.
to pull it back.
Okay, so, let's presume that that's happened. The rest of the work, have you stopped doing
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Okay, so that's a cease and desist.
Right.
That's probably the best thing, is just let it regrow naturally now.
Okay, are you done the work, or do you need to do more
Done.
work?
No.
Okay, so it's all done.
The ones that were hanging over.
So you're not in
done.
fear that anything else is gonna be rotted and break or anything?
No.
All right, so now we need to discuss how does the board wanna proceed?
Should she, the wetlands are on your property, right?
I don't
Yeah.
believe so.
You're
I mean, I
in,
think
you're in our
it's
juris,
over down the wall, on Marty's land.
I'm
not
fairly
sure.
confident that the wetland is very close to that wall, which is also the property line.
Yeah.
Which made me confident that the work that was done on your side was probably in the buffer zone. So there's been unauthorized work done in the buffer zone. So, the question is, what is the commission's pleasure at this point for any kind of remedy or whatever you wanna do?
should she put up signs?
I think had she come in a month ago and said, I gotta cut this out to get off my wise driveway, we would've had no problem with it.
Right.
The
Well, she
biggest
would've
thing-
had to file.
I have an
When
idea,
hired-
cause we've already, so you said RDA, that's the simpler way, right? So what we need to do is just fix the paper trail.
It's an
We can't
application
stop what
to the
happened.
board, like after the fact.
I think that we always wanna be mindful for
Slap
cost.
on
Just
the
let her
wrist.
do a hand-drawn drawing, show her driveway, just make depiction of what happened. You know, the trees that were taken down. We won't look for any mitigation. I think that it was overgrown forest, just trying to clean up a roadway. I think the way we've all been going, you know, when it's necessities like that and it's
Well, when
just a
it's
trim dead, and not only that, but we probably wouldn't have made our plan. You know, we're trying to be sensible to cost. So what we're saying, it's a very simple process. You don't need to hire an engineer. We have townspeople do it all the time. Just fill out the paperwork the best you can. Even if it's not perfect, I'm sure between Wanda and Brandon and the board, we can help her fill in the blanks. It's not that hard, so don't stress it. No, it's not. Just do your best. Most of it's your personal, you know, your address, the property, you sign as owner. So you just do your best with it. It's an RDA. If you go see Wanda, she'll give you the form. It's just a form. And then, even if you just went to the assessor and got the plot plan and you just show us where you worked. You know, you just took a pencil and say, here's along the roadway. So then for us, it's documented correctly. Because this is the thing, and I know we all wanna be sent, but if people go and do work in the buffer zone or wetland and we don't make them file, then where does that end? That could get really bad we'd end up being worse. We'd have to be, at some point, harder on this whole process than if we just help you correct it.
It would be a license to ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
And then, but I think what we're trying to say is, we believe you, just so you know.
Right.
And we just, now, that's why we wanna help you and just get this paperwork trail fixed,
No,
right? Is that a good way to look
Yeah,
at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let's write
It
down
could be
what
that simple,
she needs
just
to do.
go see Wanda, get the RDA.
And I think everything's cleaned up. Has anyone talked to Marty just to make
So
sure
the
he's
only
happy
thing
with his stuff?
that me as a board member is if there was, so if you had fallen some trees and they landed on the wall and it did something, just be neighborly and tell the tree guy that he was wrong. If a tree falls in a storm and damages the wall, that's not your problem. But if you were cleaning up and you went onto his property and it did something, just make sure whatever damage to the wall or his property, you know, just as a good neighbor, clean that up.
It's one of those walls that they built 100,000 years
Right, but it's an
ago.
authentic wall. And if
Some of
stone's
them
got.
aren't
And
even
it's a,
there,
and it's a
believe me.
property line.
What's
Yeah, it's
all that I'm
fine.
saying is to be neighborly, make sure that
Oh,
wall,
right.
if it had gotten knocked over a little, just tell the tree guy to go in there and pick up the rocks and put them back on the wall, that's all.
Wanda,
Absolutely.
And then it goes a long way that you
Just-
made the effort to.
just so she knows, what's the fee gonna be for the RDA filing on this?
The complete fee is 500. So there's the consultant 450,
There's no,
bylaw 25, municipal 25, and the gatehouse is 50.
I have to the
Wait a
chair,
minute.
so Brandon does have some time, but maybe he could
It's 550.
make just a couple hours. Or
Well,
something,
I have a question though.
He does have some,
Help
we're
me
having a
understand
discussion, he's
something.
involved, he's been out, he must have some time to bill
So
for it.
the original concern was you had some trees that were over wires you needed cut.
They were growing like that, and
Right.
most of them, the branches just, the
Okay.
whole yard, that's what's happening to the trees,
So,
for whatever reason.
so the question is, usually when you have that, you have tree people come with a cherry picker and cut it, but in this case, we had, an excavator, which is kinda unusual for cutting trees back.
Well, I saw his advertisement, and he did a Sutton house, and he made it look like I wanted it to look. I didn't want it to look barren, I just wanted, this is,
Oh, I saw the same thing you're mentioning,
yeah,
Like a
it
before
looked
and after,
nice,
yeah.
yeah. And that's what I wanted with the trees that were falling like over the wires taken down.
There's another picture with the tractor up, past that, and the trees were cut like 15 feet up, so I don't know if those stumps are still there or what that was, but.
So it's, you say it's a mess, are you gonna wanna clean that up?
The wood that's fallen,
Right,
I'd
because,
like to get the wood out of there, I don't think it looks very nice.
right, so then it gets a little more complicated, than just,
Let's leave the wood there.
right, cause
I
I
have
can
a
understand the board's concern about not having to pay too much money, but you had a machine in there and it's kind of a mess, and then now you wanna clean it up and you're in the buffer zone, and that becomes a lot, the amount of complication
Never
kinda goes up
realized
there.
all of this
So keeping my
ever.
fee down gets harder and harder the more work you wanna do there. Now, if the trees are already down and that was your main purpose and you're just done and you're gonna leave it,
Mhm.
sure, this would be like a couple hours worth of work. But if then now you wanna do, clean it up and.
They can stay down,
Okay.
I have a question, do you have a fireplace?
I do.
Do you ever burn it with wood?
No.
Cause you're allowed to cut so much wood for your own
You're
personal
allowed to
use.
use, you're
if you-
allowed to cut up to 10 cord.
So,
My guy, which was a Putnam, passed away 10 years ago,
Yeah.
so, and he was sick before that, so everything usually he trimmed everything was pristine, now it's,
it's just got overgrown.
yeah.
In my opinion, where she's got a fireplace and you're allowed to use so much wood for your own personal use, if she wanted to clean up some of the wood that's there without going nuts and just clean up, I don't have a problem with that, cause I wouldn't
There you
want
go,
to see
Mr.
the
Richard.
junk wood there either.
Thank you.
I have an idea again, Chair. So when she files her RDA, if it's trees that are down already and it's dead brush and limbs, and she asks and shows us where she's gonna work so that we understand, you don't need silt fence, she's not digging in the dirt. I personally would let her clean up along her roadway for access to her home. I don't think that anybody should not be able to maintain their roadways.
I agree.
And that,
But
the
if
work
it's
is.
in our
it's kinda
jurisdiction
in
and
the
the
woods, the
paperwork
mess.
says RDA,
What's the right of the
then
driveway?
she's doing it already, just once again, brief description,
It's where
take some
it is,
pictures.
it's not that,
Well, if it's in her existing lawn, clean
It's
it
not.
up. It's the unaltered part that's in the woods that's also in the buffer zone. That needs to get
Are we
cleaned
sure
up.
it's in the buffer zone?
No, good question. I'm fairly confident, but you're right, it hasn't been absolutely confirmed. And you really can't do that until the RDA gets filed. Delineation doesn't need to be done for an RDA, but that'll be part of the verification.
Okay. So, if everybody's okay with it, I have your instructions.
Thank you, that's what I need.
See
I
Wander
have
in,
the forms.
see Wander in the conservation
Yeah,
office,
if
which is
you
next
want,
door to
I'll
here.
give you these forms, you can look them over, and then if you wanna come in tomorrow, I'm here from 8 to 3,
To 3.
yeah,
And we know you didn't,
and I'm here next week.
you were just trying to clean up, so don't
Honestly.
sweat it.
Yeah, it's
We
no
know.
big deal.
Don't,
And then the second part is to do the RDA.
Okay.
All right.
The plot plan. is
I mean the
that-
plot plan, I'm sorry, the plot, just get a plot plan, you can print one off your computer, or go downstairs to assessors, they'll print one for you, and just take a marker, and where you remove the
think I
trees, just
have
mark it
one.
out.
Is this a plot plan?
Yep, that's it.
Dad, look at
Yeah.
that.
So just take a marker whenever you come back with your RDA, and just highlight where the trees were removed.
Just a little record of what you did.
Yep.
can you get in and out of the driveway easier now? Is it better?
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't have to worry
With
as
the
much?
snow, I didn't have to worry that the wires were gonna,
Yeah.
that was the whole thing.
I get it.
You feel better now? You seem to not so nervous.
next time before. I've never done anything like this, so.
Most
you
people
know,
most people don't.
you know.
Right. So you're all set.
Okay,
You're all
so
set.
I'll call you Wanda tomorrow, or see what time I can get here.
Oh,
I
you-
appreciate it.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
night.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the minutes for November 6th and November 20th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 6th and November 20th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now wait a minute, 12 Barnett Road, did we do that one yet?
No,
No,
we,
not yet.
we still got one in front of that.
Well, you got, oh yeah, 158 Hartness,
So we spoke about 125 Singletary.
yeah.
158 Hartness Road, what's this one, Wanda?
It's a COC for the septic system installation.
Okay, did we make it there
My
before the snow?
understanding is that Tim Callahan submitted an as-built, but he never submitted the letter to go along with it, saying there's in substantial
Wait,
conformance.
I did find a letter,
You did?
yeah. Yeah, it said in accordance. Here's the letter. I need that other file.
I'll read this in. It says Chairman, Sutton Conservation Board, Sutton, Mass. 01590. RE 158 Hartness Road, upgrade septic system installation. Dear Sir, in accordance with the requirements of WPA Form 8A, request for certificate of compliance, Section A.6, the following is stated. The plan submitted by Hawk Consulting, Inc. and dated 7/31/19, as approved by the Sutton Conservation Board and the Board of Health, was substantially completed in accordance with said plan. Sincerely, Timothy R. Callahan.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions.
No.
No,
I'm
certificate.
sorry, long day.
Close.
Certificate of compliance for 158 Hartness Road.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have.
You were doing good, Bill.
I was reading the wrong thing ahead of me.
You don't need plans.
We don't need to sign the
No,
plan,
you don't
even though
need
it
to
says
sign
sign here.
plans, only for an order of conditions.
Okay. This said sign here on it, Wanda, just so you know.
Oh, well, that might have been the new plan that he brought in.
Okay.
So, for an as-built, check and see if it says as-built on
It
it.
does say
As built, should we
yep.
still sign it?
You can sign it if you want. Yeah, it'll just stay with the file.
Very rarely do we get an as built.
I know.
Well, they need it
because
for,
they've been asked
They
for
need
a
Board
lot.
of Health.
Yeah.
Right, which is what we asked, is what, we don't necessarily need a as-built, but if you're already doing one for Board of Health,
Yeah.
Doesn't
Take
hurt.
it.
we'll take
Fine
it,
for
yeah.
everything.
All right.
Okay. Oh, that was extra messy. All right, next up is gonna be signed certificates for 12 Barnett Road, Brian Layer, owner.
I went down there this morning, I emailed people, Brandon wanted to know what the signs were on. Remember, we had him cement the posts. So he had the wrong posts, didn't have them cemented, and the signs that he put, when I looked at it, they're on wood instead of on
Aluminum or something.
the aluminum, yeah. So,
How do we, I never got to rewatch the YouTube, you said the link, do you remember what it said?
We left it as, we were gonna let him keep the posts, keep the signs, and the only thing he had to do was cement in the posts. Whether or not I agree with that, I guess I have to, because it's one of those things that's a policy, and nowhere is the policy written. So, there's nothing in our rules and regulations that said that sign needs to be made out of metal.
I thought that was in the,
It's in the order of conditions.
it's in the order of conditions.
Yeah.
And that's mitigation. I was thinking about this,
Actually, it's been considered to be just a standard practice. Yeah.
but, Brandon said that they went over everything at the, pre-construction meeting about the poles and everything, so, you know, I think we kinda have to let this one go, but I was wondering if we could make a letter saying that sent out,
Can we
that
add
the
it to the
owner could
primer?
send back,
Permit
saying
primer?
that they understood the order of conditions and, would abide by the order.
What about that outline page that you made, Wanda?
That's what I just asked.
Can we just
we
add it to that and then put a
somewhere?
can we put a signature box on the bottom of that? That needs to be signed and returned with the application?
Well,
so
no,
they
it goes
understand
out-
all that?
It goes out with the order of conditions as
Yeah.
instructions for what to do
Does it?
next.
Right.
Yeah, so that wouldn't,
I agree with Joyce, I would like to see something, or signed that
Yeah,
says that they
if-
know.
If there was a
So through the chair.
one-page thing that they could, that they
So-
had read it and they would abide by those, regulations. So at least we have something to fall back on.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I think this is crazy and a huge waste of money. You got a pole that's not gonna last, now they're on wood that's gonna last a couple years, the sign's gonna fall off, and we're okay with this? I'd rather see nothing, no offense. This is like littering the wetland.
Well,
You're not gonna be on the right pole with aluminum backed thing, I mean,
Well, do we-
I'd rather see nothing, so if we wanna let it go this time, I'd tell them to pull all the signs out.
I agree with
That's a
you.
mockery of, why do we, I don't know.
I agree with you,
I've
but
just said it before, follow the rules, I know what it is,
Can I
that's the
give you a little
policy.
history on it? Why these came about? The
No,
commission.
no, I'm not opposed to the signs, at all.
Oh,
Well-
But to
Well, I
not
think
be in compliance with one part of that sign, to me, that shouldn't even be there. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of money and a waste of effort. And we're gonna
Well-
say okay to it?
He,
It's on wood. How long are those screws that attach that sign to the wood gonna last? A couple of years? The sign's gonna fall apart. You're gonna have trash in the wetland. And what did we do? I'd rather see nothing than something not done correctly. That's
the
me.
white part of the sign wood too?
It's
No,
mounted to wood
no.
on
He
a
must-
temporary fence post.
they must have had their own signs made, cause that's not the, normal one that we do with a cat nine tails
I don't
on
have
it.
a
but-
problem. It's mounted to wood. That's where that sign should be mounted directly to the pole.
So do we deny him a certificate of compliance?
I personally would. I think it's a wait.
After we
Either that or
told
we
him
don't
it
do
was
this
okay
anymore.
last time?
That's what
why-
I
We told them it was
Yeah.
okay to, well,
Just cement the green posts in. We all the Home
Yeah.
Depot posts and just put
right,
it
but
back.
I thought everything else was in
I
compliance.
have,
Wait a minute, Brandon,
something
hold on
that.
one second.
Yep,
So
yes, sir.
this is what the discussion was the last meeting. Somebody went out and did a site visit,
Me,
and the conversation came up that the pole was wrong and it wasn't cemented in. At the last time we spoke about it, we agreed that the pole was okay, and all he had to do was cement it in. We had no discussion on it being wood or anything, so that's on us, it's not on him. We
Right.
can't punish him for something that we missed.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? But I agree with Mike. I would probably get it signed off and take those down because they're dangerous. I was a kid that grew up on a farm, and you hit one of those on your bicycle or something, they tear your arms to shreds, those posts, because they get the things that stick out of them.
I
But
did
It is
wiggle
what it
them,
is.
cause
Well-
the poles are bendable.
I just would hope next time, if this is our policy, you follow it correctly, and if they don't do it right, they have to, I don't wanna give anybody a hard time, but either we do them or do them right, or don't do them at all, that's all I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Well, through the
And my feeling is they should be along the wetland line, and that's
Well, through the
discussion I'll
chair,
bring up every time.
I remember either Dan or Bob making a comment about the signs, that they don't last that long when they get hit with a rotary mower. And I don't care what kind of pole you have, if you have one of those signs, probably half of us in this room have used a rotary mower. If there's something in your path, even if you don't mean to, if they get hit with the mower, they're gone.
I agree.
So I think in most cases, these signs, people are putting them up because we're telling them to. And as soon as no one's looking, they're gonna take them down, because I wouldn't want any of those signs in my yard either.
Unless we put them on the edge of the wetland,
But
where you
Mike's
would never
saying-
take them down, and
Right.
then you're making a difference. You're actually putting something, a lot of towns do this. Most put it along the wetland line. It makes sense to me.
Instead of
Because I
on the
wanna see them
buffer zone,
stay,
right.
not get taken down. When
Yeah.
you ask I agree. You're gonna put them outside the wetland in fields, we allow them to mow around, eventually they're all gone. And it
Yeah.
defeated the whole purpose, and it was a waste of money.
So the only other thing to do is go with what a lot of people prefer, I prefer 'em, the granite bounds or whatever you wanna call them.
And those will disappear because grass will grow over it
Grass
and
will
everything.
grow up. But most of these signs will not be
Here's
visible in
what-
a few years.
Right,
Signs
if you
are
do a
kind
sign
of
to
looking.
code, those are gonna last a long time. Bet that lasts all of 50 years on a galvanized pole with aluminum fastened in
But
cement.
the white sign's
And
gonna
if it's
fade off
along
in
the
5
wetland
years.
line, and we all know the jurisdictions, people know it, and those signs will last a long time. I bet that if we go to putting along the wetland line, we stick to our policy of a good rugged sign, we make everybody adhere to it, and now we've accomplished something.
Look at the
That's my opinion.
Look at the vegetation that's on a wetland line, that's not on a buffer zone line.
That might be a wetland line.
Look at the ferns and stuff.
Right, so, and people are gonna wanna leave them because most people don't wanna go into the wetlands. It's not your good part of your
And
property.
then if it gets sold, people know where the
That's the
wetlands
wetland,
are,
and if you-
that's,
Until, let's be honest,
Yeah.
until the sign fades out, and the shelf life on that sign's probably 4 or 5 years until the paint fades off it.
some of them have been there
It
that
did.
long now.
I bet that sign's
Can I give some
gonna,
history?
Yep.
yep, of course.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
and then I'll question.
30 seconds or less. The Conservation Commission have been trying to figure out a way to demarcate permanently a limit of disturbance so there wouldn't be lawn creep.
Blood sugar.
You know what I mean, right? So there was a question, well, put up split rail fence, and the people on the commission didn't think that it was worth the money to put up a split rail fence because it costs a lot of money and they rot. And then as well, how about we put boulders down, and they can be ugly and they can be moved, and finally, there was a consensus that these signs were a good thing. And that's how it came, that's the way we're gonna demarcate the permanent limited disturbance.
In your expertise, not only in the Commonwealth, but in Rhode Island, how common is this?
Those signs don't happen in Rhode Island. Rhode Island, they like you to put up an evergreen, living fence.
Okay. How common is it in commissions in Massachusetts to have signage,
It's common.
like more than
Well,
50%?
either, probably about 33%. The other 33% do split rail fence, and the other 33% do boulders.
Grafton does boulders, or they did, I think.
Yeah, those are the three most common ways of demarcating your permanent limited disturbance.
So through the chair, he brought up some good points. Most people wanna do the right thing. If the signs stay in place along the wetland line, and our idea is to not creep forward, we can't be police and make people do things, but if the idea is to have a sign that stays to mark out the wetland, I'll say it again. I will bet my life in a 20-year course, the ones that get, if we started to track it, and we could go back into people's yards to see who leaves them and where they stand in 10 years, if they're on the wetland line, I would bet you almost all are in place, and anything that's not, I bet you 50% of them are gone. Or more. So what did we accomplish?
Nothing.
Okay, I think we need to have more discussion of where we ask them to place those wetland
So
signs.
Brandon,
It's just an opportunity to
in the-
talk about
in
it.
the Commonwealth, in other commissions, do they usually make you put it on the edge of the buffer zone or the edge of the wetland?
Well, they make you put it on the edge of the buffer zone wherever your limited work is, where limited disturbance.
Can I weigh in on this? So Shrewsbury, Worcester, and Millbury, I've just worked in those towns in the last 6 months, all on the wetland line. Those are 3 towns that I know
They
personally.
make you put markings up on the wetland line.
Millbury has no bylaws, their only pet peeve is they agree with what I said, that when you can mark out a wetland line, it causes less problems, so like this woman coming tonight, she just didn't know.
Yeah.
If we educate people and we define that wetland line and not try to dictate what they do in their yard, we'll get more with that, than trying to put signs out in people's yards, whether it's a buffer zone or not, it's offensive to people, and they fight it. I'm telling you, if you stop putting them along that wetland line, I bet, and if we could do a study, it will accomplish more in the long run. I'm positive of it. People wanna do the right thing. Yeah, there's always people that are gonna cheat, there's always people that will do, most, they see that, they know there's a wetland, they know there's a buffer zone. That's not, some people don't understand how big it is or exactly what it is, but most people know they're not. And if their lawn's here and they see signs, they might at least
Clip that on
question,
that,
hey,
too.
if I go into the woods, maybe I need to talk to somebody.
file, yeah.
I'll say it again, I think that if we could define a line that people can see, we'll accomplish more.
And I think if you have the signs, people have boulders and then all the grass grows up around it and you gotta trim around it.
I have
think the
boulders in my
signs are better.
backyard. I hated it if, and it's different because I'm on the lake and we have the corridor and it does mark it well, and I'd rather have the rocks than the signs.
I just think the signs.
Because I've grown, and because I mow it twice a year, my thing, the
Yeah.
boulders don't get lost, but,
I like there to be options personally.
yeah.
I just
Some
think
people
the
might
s-
like a sign.
The signs look very commercial. This is market 32 or something, or the car wash going over there. I would have no problem with it.
Right.
I like them, I think they're pretty.
Farmhouse in the middle of Sutton. I don't think they look right. That's my own personal opinion, and
But it's,
The mission is to protect the wetland and the resource areas, and if we
Yeah.
can find a spot where the signs stay every time.
I agree with you if they're more towards a wetland, but to put them in the middle of the field, I think they'll last about a season or two, and that's it.
do we have anything in our bylaw or rules and regs that says it has to be on the edge of the buffer zone?
No.
Okay, so we make that determination when we issue an order of conditions, correct?
Right, but again, the thing that the commission wrestled with in the past is they wanna make sure that the limited disturbance put on the plan, in the buffer zone, in the AWRA anyway, stays where it says on the plan, and you don't go back 5 years from now and find out that the backyard has been extended 50 feet closer to the wetland.
There is a couple of large projects I'm hearing that are gonna be coming before us, and that would be a good test for Mike's theory to make them put it on the wetlands, in my opinion, on the wetland line instead of the buffer zone line.
The other thing too is that even if these rot out, 'cause special condition 33 is conservation signs shall be maintained in perpetuity, so if they fall over or rot out, they have to be replaced.
Supposed to be.
We can't even get people to keep their erosion controls in
Yeah,
place.
no one's gonna police it. And
This is what I'm trying to say, you get more from people when you don't make them,
Mhm.
but you educate them. Education to me is key, and that's what I'm talking about, is they come in front of us, we have a meeting, we have a plan, we educate them on their property, we define their wetland line for them, and then we don't make them do anything. We don't make them have signs out in a buffer zone that to them is good usable land, and why did I have to do this?
So this sign was
But,
was
yeah.
October of 13. I don't even know where it is, but I guarantee you, if we find it tomorrow, December of 19, it's either beat up, faded, or it's covered, or it's gone, or it's covered in vines, or
So we don't try to do anything.
I think.
No, I think you need signs along the
Yeah,
wetland
I do
edge.
too.
That I see it, I know as a developer, I like it there. Cause once the signs go up, it reminds me of right where the wetland line is, and I like to know,
certain
cause
areas.
most don't wanna do it wrong, that's what I'm trying to say to you. To me, it's like a red flag when you see those signs that to be cautious.
That's why they're there.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to them even a tiny little bit, I just want them done right, and I want them on the wetland line.
But,
Cause I think that makes
I mean,
it.
I guess we spent enough time.
We spent enough time on it, so I think, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, that we should issue the COC for this project because he did what we asked him to do 2 weeks ago today.
I agree.
Make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 158,
No,
12 Barnett Road. I'm sorry, I'm way off here, folks.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
5-0 on that. That's what I figured.
I'm sorry, who did the second one?
Joyce. Where is, I need that back, Zach, I'm sorry.
The whole paper here?
There should be a signature sheet on it, right? No.
No, maybe it's under
It's
it.
because I have it here.
Oh, you have it, sorry.
I didn't set it up on the file, and if you wanna sign this, somewhat that I have on the plan.
So that's 158.
Yeah, that's,
Is that 158?
We don't need to sign that, right? It's not an as-built or anything?
No.
okay.
I'm surprised you don't have an espresso machine or something. You sit there in the corner so quiet.
No, I wanna go to people.
Next up is off Leland Hill Road, DEP 313. That's an
Okay,
old one.
This one is a very old one, like some of the others that we get, and they're just looking for the certificate to be signed, because she just sent, I don't have anything but what she sent.
Was it at one time signed and closed out?
No, I doubt it.
Old file to
This is,
sign.
I mean, really old, yeah,
Off
like
Leland Hill Road.
2004, let's see, 1998.
Board
and it
business,
was- it
off
was,
Leland Hill Road. Lincoln Road,
It was
Lincoln
done
Road.
by Ethel O'Day when she,
10 Leland Hill
notarized it.
Road.
And, excuse me,
Please find the attached copy of order of conditions from 1998.
that's what came in through.
Northside Realty. Brendan Holmes.
Here's the
Oh, that's almost
paperwork.
engrafted in there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's the project description here?
So they never got an order, a certificate of compliance.
Never
they did
closed
the
it.
order, but they never got the certificate, here's the information.
See, that's an
Here's the
enforceable
report.
Right,
thing.
I like getting these things closed out. I'd love to see that.
for people that don't close them out, they can
Stagnant bank
send
account
them
get lowered.
an enforcement
So
order.
here's the signature page for that one.
Oh, is it?
Is it done? It must be.
It must be. It's gotta be.
1998,
it's
I
gotta
would
be-
say so.
Somebody wanna look at it?
It's gotta be the road that
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Giblin and Frank
So I have a
Noel built.
question, they want a certificate, so did an engineer do a letter of substantial completion?
This is from.
No.
Cause even if you have to go back, I've ran into this before, buying property,
Mhm.
and I had to have my engineer go out and look at the site and write
Make
me a
sure it's
letter.
done.
That's what other towns have done, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense to me,
That's a good
I don't
idea.
think you should just sign something off, that,
Right.
Right.
so just tell them we want a letter from an engineer,
Yeah, I don't-
and not the engineer of record, that's giving them leniency, cause usually you like the engineer who did the project, but any wetland scientist, engineer, go out and just
Well, in the
state
good
that.
case, this building's still around building, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we wanna make sure it's in substantial compliance, that's our job,
Alright.
so,
He actually
as much
just,
as the lawyer wants us to just sign off, and had he
Engineer letter.
given a letter from
Kevin.
somebody saying it was substantial.
passed away a couple of years ago, his son's running the company
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah, still pretty
Yep,
big.
they're still dead,
So,
yeah.
Wanda should send a letter, get in touch with the lawyer
I'll
to
get
tell
in
him we
touch
need a
with him.
lawyer.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
tell me, just
and just tell him we do that status quo, that's for everybody, that's across the board.
and then we'll sign off.
And then we'll
Oh,
sign off, no problems, as long as the stamp's good.
And trust me, the leniency, and it keeps the cost, when an engineer can do a site visit, verify it, and write a letter.
Yep.
That is such an easy process. And then, like you
It's
said
done.
tonight, just make sure the engineers, and then we hold them accountable, and unfortunately,
Very pleased that that engineer took his letter.
I got to see him here tonight, trying to.
I specifically
And
asked.
that-
Well, but he can't.
And she works there as well in the office, I believe, with him. I feel like, sorry.
Let's,
All right, next on the agenda, Wanda, is a departmental sign off.
Yeah, we don't have any tonight, but I just left it on there in case we do.
Okay.
and
That's a good idea.
we can slide something under there.
Alright,
We have an unexpected business, but that was the wetland signs that you already discussed with the other project, so
So that's it.
that one's okay too.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did, Zach.
No, Bill, you brought up a good point about the signs and fading, but I love to just
we
dwell
on?
on this. Yeah. If they're on the wetland line, even if it's a pole with a faded